Okay, so I'm going to do really quite a quick review on this book, Chris Bailey's Hyperfocus. It took me a little while to get round to sort of listening to this book. I listened to it on Audible, by the way. I didn't read it, this one. It didn't get the best reviews, but it got fairly good reviews. So I gave it a go. I did find that, ironically, considering the book is about focus, I did find that my attention was drifting a little bit, if I'm honest. So sometimes I find that you've got to read, well, quite often you've got to read or listen to a book at the right time, at the right kind of stage in your life. And I think sometimes if you listen or read to something at the wrong time, then you are more likely to find it a bit boring, to get a bit distracted. I felt keen on, and I do feel keen still on, developing my ability to focus and sort of get away from procrastination, and to sort of really work with proper intent and to become efficient. So that's something that I'm really working on. And there are definitely some takeaways from this book, some hints and tips that are really worthwhile, and they have kind of stuck with me. So to summarise, really, I found the book a bit boring, but looking back now with hindsight, I have taken a few things away from it that I'm going to implement in my life, and I have been implementing, and they are actually making a difference. So I mean, the main things really, just to very generally summarise without kind of spoiling anything, is be very aware of things in your environment that are going to sort of fighting for your attention, like smartphones, TV. If you want to achieve a piece of work, then give it your full focus. Put your phone on flight mode, even put it out of the room so that you've just got no temptation there. Give it your full focus, but also understand that your brain can only cope with full focus for a certain amount of time. You can't be focusing intensely for hours at a time. Start off small doses, 10, 15, 20 minutes, things like that. Give yourself a break, but also give yourself the chance and the time to indulge in some of those more mindless things as well, like checking Facebook and things like that. But it's about really just being mindful and kind of thinking about what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, what it is you want to achieve. We live in a world where there's so much distraction, there's so many things plying for our attention. Our minds are very naturally interested in trying to do lots of different things at once. He talks about the fact that when we were cavemen and cavewomen, we used to, we might be around a fire, sort of tending to the fire, but our mind would be prepared to be distracted by noises in the undergrowth or an approaching predator or something like that. So we are designed to kind of think about different things at once and be a bit distracted as a survival mechanism. So I found that quite interesting. So we do have to train ourselves to focus on things. So it's just about really practicing good habits so that we can focus more easily. And meditation as well is something that always often comes up in personal development books, and comes up here as well. And I find it really interesting that actually there's quite a lot of research to say that if you practice meditation, that gives you the ability to focus more on whatever task it is you're trying to do. And I personally find, I was exercising last night, I was doing some skipping, and I found that it kind of occurred to me really that I think a lot of the meditation I do is kind of unintentional really. I tend to find that when I'm exercising, my mind is probably at its most blank. I'm kind of thinking, I'm either counting, in the case of the skipping, I'm counting the number of skips or jumps or whatever it is that I've done, and my mind is kind of zoning out and going into this kind of relaxed kind of meditative state, I suppose. And I've done that for years. I've exercised since I was very young, and I suppose maybe that's what's given me an advantage in terms of my focus, because I'm not too bad on focus really. And I think that's probably what's helped me, is the fact that I exercise most days, and that does give me, my mind, a chance just to switch off from everything, because the rest of the time I'm reading or I'm listening to things or I'm thinking about different ideas, and my mind's going 100 miles an hour. So I think the exercise that I've done is kind of a way of meditating. I think that's quite important actually. So I think if you can either exercise without listening to music and things and without becoming distracted, or you can just meditate for a few minutes a day, I think that's a really good takeaway from the book. So yeah, just to summarise, I didn't find it massively entertaining. I did drift a little bit. I could probably benefit from going back over it again, but I'm not sure whether I will or not, to be honest. But it's a potentially fairly boring subject that he's covered pretty well. He's obviously done a hell of a lot of research, knows it inside out, and it is a really important one. It's something that I continue to want to improve. So yeah, in summary, not the best personal development book that I've listened to, but definitely some key information in there that's definitely worthwhile. So yeah, I would recommend this one. So it's Hyperfocus by Chris Bailey.